Bishop Sapp, I got to tell you, it's good to be with you here. Man, I have followed you. My wife has followed you more than I have. And so I would have never known who you were had she not said, you need to listen to this guy. So
Wow,
I
wow,
feel
wow.
like you've been a part of our marriage for as long as we've been married, man. So
That's
thank
crazy.
you so much for your time, man. I got to ask you this question first. You're a father, speaker, musician, writer. Is there anything, and a filmmaker, is there anything that you don't do? I mean, like, I'm just wondering.
Yes, yes, there is something I don't do. Honestly, I don't cook well, and
Oh,
but that's something that I'm working at now. I'm tired of going out to dinner. I'm tired of ordering takeout. I want to eat more healthy now as I get older. So I'm learning how to cook. I'm teaching myself. I think one of the greatest gifts to happen to those of us who are 50 plus is YouTube and Google, because they give us the opportunity to, I tell people all the time, if you can read, you can cook.
right.
So that's what I've been doing. I've been reading, and I've learned how to make a good pot of greens for Thanksgiving last year. No, 4th of July. I know it was hot or something, but I think I made gumbo from scratch
Whoa. Oh,
and made it with my own. Learn how to make my own roux by watching YouTube. Uh, this week I made some. And they're pretty good too. I made some pinto beans this week with sliced chicken sausage in it. And so yeah, that's one of the things I don't do, but I'm beginning to start doing it. I'm gonna learn how to make some good, real scratch macaroni and cheese. My daughter makes the best macaroni and cheese on the planet. But I'm gonna start working on it real soon, so that when Thanksgiving rolls around, they can eat my mac and cheese rather than hers.
man. Like, so it seems like to me you've already started, to be honest with you. So when you say starting to learn how to cook, like, I don't know how to cook. So we got to start with toast first on my end. But it seems like you already started here.
See, you got a wife. See, when I had a wife, I didn't have to cook either. My wife was a Southern girl. She was a
Yeah.
Southern girl from Mobile, Alabama. So she was an amazing cook. And then, my baby girl, she hangs with her grandmas. So she, whenever she comes home, she does all the cooking. I mean, and but when they're gone, daddy be trying to figure it out. And it's just, you got a kitchen, you might as well use it. That's how I look at it in this season. So it's been fun. It's been fun. A lot of work, having to soak beans overnight and all that kind of stuff. It's just a whole lot of work, but it's fun. It's fun.
I can't imagine.
I get how it can be therapeutic. I really do.
I can't imagine. I would just say be careful on how much you say that, because there are some women out there who are going to go, I'll help you cook. So be careful. Careful.
That's why I'm trying to figure it out on my own. That's why I'm trying to figure it out on my own.
Smart man. But I got to ask you, man, when I was doing the research on you, man, there is a new movie, there is new music. Did you just wake up one day and go, I want to disturb my life greatly, and so I'm going to do both of these at the same time?
No, honestly, no, I didn't, because you don't wake up in the morning. At least I didn't, and say, one day I'm gonna do a movie on my life. That was not in my particular purview, nor even owning my own label. That wasn't a part of my plan either. I've been on a major label, Sony, for, good God, 30 years, my entire career musically. And, the opportunity came about for me to have my own label and to put out some music, and not only that, but to help some young gifts, allow them to use my platform as a springboard for them. That to me was absolutely fun. And it was exciting to be able to, allow them to use my platform and, get them out there as writers. Some of them have written for some major people already, but to allow them to do that, and not only that, but make sure you share, for the sake of a better word, the wealth, make sure they had their publishing and everything together so they can eat, for the sake of a better word, in the future. And then the movie opportunity, when that came about, I told them no.
Did you really?
I really did. It took them 2 years to convince me to do it. And let me tell you why. It took 2 years for them to convince me to do it. Number one, because I have a real struggle with how, preachers in the urban community are being presented.
Yeah, me too.
And, I didn't want to be a part of that quorum of individuals who was presented wrong because they didn't have any say-so in their work. And in this industry, television, usually you have to sign over all of your rights for the most part. And when editing and stuff comes down the pipe, they edit the way they want to edit. I wanted to be a part of the entire process. And I knew I was new to it. A lot of it I didn't understand initially. But TV One and Swirl Films, they were extremely, and when I say extremely, understanding to what I wanted. And I was a part of the whole process, from being the executive producer, not just in name only, but I mean, I really worked. I helped to do the edits and all of that kind of stuff that I saw that I didn't think we should have in the film. They agreed that we should take it out because it was a mutual agreement. From the standpoint of writing, rewriting, and going through the script line upon line, and making sure that it was, as close to real as possible. Because you can't put somebody's whole life in 2 hours, of course, but you can try to the best of your ability to encapsulate it, which was our goal. And then, last but not least, having the opportunity to star in it as well. So, starring in your own film about your own life, being a co-writer and executive producer of it. And this is your first opportunity doing something of that nature. And for it to have done as well as it has. Because it's done very, 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 very well.
Very well.
I'm grateful to God, man. I really am, because again, this is the stuff that you just wake up in the morning and say, okay, one of these days, I'm gonna live the kind of life that people gonna want to see my story. No, you just live. And when you get the opportunity to do something that can be ministry to, that was my goal. Not just a movie, not just something that was entertaining, not just something that made you laugh and made you cry, but at the end of the day, it was ministry. So, it was fun. And matter of fact, I think I got bit by the bug, because I will do some more stuff. I really do.
Really? There's more.
I really do. Because I like it. I like this aspect of creating. It's a different side. Musically, you have to create an image in your head, especially if you're in the studio. You got to create an image in your head of how the crowd would respond when you say certain lyrics. But this is imagery, and being able to, put content out that's empowering and that's encouraging. I think that's a great thing. So I'm excited about, laying my hands to some other opportunities from a film standpoint.
Man, it's an amazing film, by the way.
Thank you.
And then there's the music, and then there is you preaching.
It's a lot, pastor and all kinds of stuff, man. Listen, I tell people, busy keep you out of trouble.
It really does keep you out of trouble.
It does.
So my next question is, where's the book? No, I'm joking.
I've written, how many books have I written? I've
written some as well.
Oh man, I got like 7 of them or something like that. Yeah, they're on my website. You go to my website, marvinsapp.com. There's all kinds of books on there. Yeah. Man, I wrote a book called Never Would Have Made. I wrote a book, my last book that I just wrote and just completed, actually, it's a manual for training preachers. So I'm excited about it. because we're just finishing it. I'm just finishing it. They're working on the covers and all that kind of stuff now. It's called Chosen Vessel, of course, called Chosen Vessel. And it's more or less like Chosen Vessel, now what? Now that I've accepted my call, what's next? So it's a 6-month training course that I'm actually using at my church to train the ministry gifts. It's a book, a workbook, a teacher's manual, PowerPoint. It's a whole lot that we decided to put together for the purpose of training our ministers. And hopefully, if it works, it'll be something that we'll be able to give to churches across the nation that they can use, just foundational stuff, not anything that's overly in depth, but just things that they need to know as they move forward, in this thing called ministry. Because I did it because I wanted our preachers to understand that just because you come from another church, you have to understand the culture of the church that you are in. And that's what it's really all about. So I'm excited about that. I just finished that. Actually, I'm still going through edits. So it'll probably be completed by next week.
Man, do you enjoy being behind the scenes here? There's because it seems like you enjoy that.
I do.
Role, man.
I do, man. I love it. I love ministry is my passion. I love what I do. I've been doing it since, oh my God, successfully. I started full-time in ministry when I was 23, 22.
Yeah.
I've been doing it now for 33 years. And the pandemic gave me the opportunity to recalibrate. It gave me the opportunity to rethink how I wanted to do ministry. And to me, that was exciting because, the joke of all jokes is that, the pandemic, what we as preachers had to do, you could not learn in seminary.
Right.
Because nobody expected it. So we had to pivot. Yeah. And those of us who were creatives have been able to survive, thus this room.
Yes.
This is where I do my Bible studies from sometimes. Sometimes I go to my church and I do it from the sanctuary. We're hybrid. Sunday in the sanctuary, Tuesday virtual. And that's the way I think that we're going to stay, because on Tuesday, we average around 10,000 views. My church only seats 1,500 people. Bible study night, you may get 100, on a good Bible study night.
Yeah.
But so we decided to remain in this hybrid space and use it to the best of our abilities. And it's been fun because I've been on a learning curve. I had to figure out how to use the cameras and, how to set up everything and staging and creating all types of different looks. Like right now you have this front look, but to my right here, it's a green screen wall. It's all green screen wall over here. And so it gives me opportunity to stand up and preach. I have another microphone right here. I can stand up and preach with my podium. I don't have the camera set up right now. That's why I won't show you. But have a podium sitting to my right where I can stand there and preach and give my church a whole nother look if necessary. If I bring in a musical guest, whatever, it gives me the opportunity to really do some different things, some exciting things from a ministerial standpoint. So, this is great to me. It's fun.
What would you tell your younger self? I don't mean 22, 23, you got in the ministry. I mean 20. What would you tell Mr. Sapp at 20?
My goodness, my 20-year-old self, I was wild. So, I would probably tell him it ain't gonna be like this always,
Right.
When I was 20, I was still dealing with a lot of, and still am. I'm not gonna make like I'm not still overcoming some of the traumas of childhood and even traumas of adulthood. Yeah. But I wasn't mature enough back then to handle the trauma. So I did things that was outside of the will of God for my life in order to try to ease those pains. That's what I did. So I would probably tell my 20-year-old self, it's not gonna always be like this.
Yeah.
Things will turn around, things will get better. And you don't have to do this to get through it. That there are other options. There are other options. But I realize now too that had to happen for me to become. I don't know if that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
Those things had to happen for me to become. So I'm grateful, man. Now, if you ask me would I change anything, there's some things I would change, but not as a child, not as a teenager. I would change some stuff as an adult, but but definitely, what I went through is what formed me. So, God knew it, even though I didn't.
Man, I got to ask this question because when I was researching you once again, man, you focus a lot on mental health. I don't know if you know you're focusing a lot on mental health when you're talking about trauma and past issues. So it's my next to last question here. How did you decide that you were going to focus on the trauma and on mental health? And what can others do in dealing with their own trauma and mental health issues?
Well, honestly, that's very easy. I tell people all the time, my wife was a licensed clinician by profession.
Yeah, so I understand.
Yes, she had a dual bachelor's in psychology and sociology, a dual master's in psych and social, and then she had her doctorate in biblical counseling. So I tell people I was married for 18 years and I was in counseling for 18 years.
I know how that feels.
Every day I woke up, it felt like a counseling session. I'm telling you. So, but because I was around that, because as pastors, she actually did counseling, and we did counseling together with couples or people within the city. They would just come up to the church, and I watched how she navigated through that. I began to realize early on that some of the things that we deal with in the church, even though everything is spiritual, some of the stuff could be, worked out if we had the tools that were needed in order to make it. But then not only that, I also began to understand that some of this stuff is chemical imbalances as well. I had to learn that just by having conversations with her.
Yeah.
Some of these things, we don't need to cast it out, we need to medicate. And so knowing these things and knowing that counseling and therapy was absolutely important. It was simple for me when my wife transitioned from this life to life eternal. My kids and I immediately went into therapy. I mean, like, when I say immediately, I mean like the next week.
Wow.
And I believe very strongly that because we went into therapy the next week, that is what has enabled us as a family to be able to successfully move forward, because we paused long enough to have a healthy foundation. The pain of loss never goes away. And what therapy does is it teaches us how to manage moments. Thank you, that's good. It teaches us how to manage the moments. So my daughters, both of them, went in the same field as their mom. My middle child, Michaela, who just called me just a minute ago, I had to tell her I was on a Zoom. She's in her master's program in psychology. My baby girl, she's finishing her bachelor's. She's an overachiever like her mom, a dual bachelor's in psychology and biology, and she graduates in December. So, them understanding that and being around that is what made it easy for them to get through it, as well as for me, because we had somebody in our life to help us navigate through those things. So I preach it. I live it. I still live it. When I moved here to Texas, where I live now 3 years ago, my therapist recommended a therapist. So I have a therapist here as well. It's just important to have somebody to talk to. Watch this, that you can trust, that's legally bound. They ain't gonna tell all your secrets. You follow? So that helps too, that helps too.
Well, I gotta tell you, therapy teaches us to manage the moments.
It does.
That a preach.
Because the pain never goes away. The
Yeah.
pain goes away. But you go through those mountains, those valleys, and they give you the tools to be, because some stuff you just can't pray away.
You can't. I mean,
some stuff you really have to confront and you have to deal with it. And the only way that it can happen is you have to have the tools to make it happen. And it's such a, for the sake of a better word, it's such, in the urban community, it's like taboo.
yeah.
And it's not. It's a really, really good thing that all of us, I believe, especially now, after this pandemic stuff, this post-pandemic thing. Watch television. It's so much craziness going on in the day and time which we live. And a lot of it is because people have not learned how to manage the moment after. So, I'm prayerful and hopeful that, people will watch this and go find you a good therapist. I promise you they'll help you.
Well, therapy helps you. It helps you also just to look at stuff and to analyze it. Like I think we are living in a deficit of folks who cannot analyze things.
Absolutely.
And also, but you can't do that if you don't have therapy. And I'm going to steal this. Therapy teaches us to manage the moments, by the way. I'm joking.
All the welcome to have it.
I'm joking, sort of. Hey, last question. This will tell me if you're living in sin or not, by the way. Okay. So you may want to show you lean in on this question like big time here. Are you a Dallas Cowboys fan? And no. If you say, then you are a saint. You're not living in sin.
And let me tell you, this is funny because, believe it or not, I've been a Philadelphia Eagles fan since I was a little boy. I don't know why, but I've always been a Philadelphia Eagles fan. I really don't know why. And I don't know if it was because of their uniforms or what have you. But a good friend of mine played for them. His name is Brian Dawkins. And
I've interviewed him.
Yeah, Brian, amazing gift.
He's incredible.
And loved my music. And strangely enough, I did a birthday party. I didn't even know who he was, to be honest with you.
Whoa.
And I don't do birthday parties. And they call and he's like, "We want you to do a birthday party." I was like, eh. And then they told me what they were gonna pay me. I was like, well, I guess I can do a birthday party. I can do birthday parties. Don't be honest, I guess I can do a birthday party. So I did his birthday and got the opportunity to meet him and his very lovely wife. And the first football game I ever went to, pro game, I went to was the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys in Philly. And he flew me in and allowed me to, and me and my wife, they explored us. I was like, man, this is how football games is watched? We all in the nice area, like in the box and the food and all. I'm like, this is, you come to football games like this is all right.
Like I'm in.
Yeah. And then he made the Pro Bowl and he invited me and my family to the Pro Bowl as well. And we flew in and got the opportunity to interact with all of the Pro Bowlers' families and stuff like that. And that was just something that was amazing to me. So I'm gonna close with this because preach can be long-winded, but my first Dallas Cowboy game was 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
I went to see them play against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And it was that AT&T Stadium, though. It's an unbelievable place.
It's an unbelievable. To be fair, how I got my start, Bishop Sapp, was through the Dallas Cowboy Arena.
When I got there, I was so blown away at the vision. See, I look at the strangest stuff. While everybody else is looking at everything. I looked at the vision. I looked at the money that was spent.
The wood.
Oh, man, it is. It is like just 5-star everywhere you look. So, but I went to the game honestly to see the GOAT because I know this is going to be his last year playing. At least I think it will be. To go see Tom Brady. And it was all right. It was an all right game. They were beating up on Dallas pretty well. And then Dak broke his finger that day too. So I mean, like it was a game, but I realized something. I realized that if I had a choice of being in the stadium or being out there with the tailgaters, give me the tailgaters.
Anytime, man. Now, I will tell you.
I have never seen anything like it before in my life.
It's amazing. I appreciate it, Bishop Sapp, and I will be in touch, man.
No, man. Grace and peace to you. Thank you so much.
Have a great afternoon, man. Bye.
You too.